Mark Meadows' decision yesterday to bring Lynne Patton to the Michael Cohen testimony in an act that many saw as using her as a human prop to defend Donald Trump from charges of being a racist, that got him in some hot water at the hearing, and it's become even worse for him since then. So at the time, after he did that, and there was a big online conversation during the hearings about that tactic and what it represented for him to have done it, for the Republicans to apparently think it's a good idea, Representative Rashida Tlaib said at the time, "It is insensitive. The fact that someone would actually use a prop, a black woman in this chamber, in this committee, is alone racist in itself." And he protested quite a bit after that, saying, "How could you possibly call me a racist when I am friends with Elijah Cummings and when people in my family are African American?" And he wanted her comments stricken from the record, and he's being described in the news as being on the verge of tears. So the thing is, she didn't say that he was a racist. She said that that was a racist act, and we need to be able to differentiate between criticism of a thing that is said or a thing that is done and the identity of the person doing it. And many people seem to have zero tolerance whatsoever for criticism, no matter what perspective it's coming from, no matter how justified it seems, for something that they say or do, without believing that that then is meant to define who they are for all time. And then that is wrapped up in the belief that some white people have, and I'm a white person, so I think in this area I have some authority. In the bigger area, I'm gonna leave that to people who've been personally affected by these issues, believe that if I do a certain thing, then I have now passed a threshold where how dare you ever accuse me of even potentially having a racist thought or doing something that could be considered racially insensitive. That threshold does not exist. People need to stop looking for it. And the thing is, he says that because he's friends with Elijah Cummings, he can't be a racist. So if you're friends with a black person, you can't be a racist. Sort of a classic trope that he decided to use first. And then someone in my family is African American. That by its very nature, regardless of what I think about them, my interactions with them, means that I can't be a racist as well. Okay, so he is attempting to complicate the matter by saying other things about me should be taken into account when evaluating if what I did is racist, or in a larger sense, if that makes me a racist. So let's do that. Let's look at some other things that he has said and done. A lot of people have been passing around a video of him from 2012 where he was talking about President Barack Obama, and he delved into, at that time, very familiar territory.
You know, it's interesting when the more we find out, the more we realize how wrong the direction we're going. And so what we're going to do is take back our country. 2012 is the time that we're going to send Mr. Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
Yeah, so he went for the birther thing, implied that President Barack Obama, the first black president of the United States, obviously can't be from the US. It is insane. It's a joke to believe that he could possibly have come from here. He must come from somewhere else. He must come from Kenya, and you hear the scattered applause. That was something that was being talked about on the right. Donald Trump was one of the people pushing it the most, but there were others, and Mark Meadows was one of those. And I don't think that there's any argument to be made that if you believed that Barack Obama must not come from the US, that is a racist belief. It doesn't mean that your identity from now on is a racist. You don't have to have the name tag or whatever, but that comes from a racist place. You need to understand that. And I think he knew even better the political context that it existed in. So did he say that because he is a racist? Did he say it because he really believes that Barack Obama does not come from the US? I can't delve into his heart or his brain. I don't know. But I know that he thought it was to his political advantage to imply that the first black president clearly couldn't come from the US. That's questionable, especially when it's not a solitary thing. A second video shared on Twitter shows Meadows at a Tea Party forum making similar comments. He was then a candidate for Congress, and he clarified that he believed Obama was an American citizen, but when asked if when he goes into Congress, will he pursue some kind of investigation to find out whether he's a citizen and whether he should be able to be in charge of the military, he took the microphone and just said yes. And while the other candidate, there were two, while the other candidate was going off on a long birther tangent, he was sitting back and he was chuckling, and he liked it. And when the people in the audience were asking questions about whether Barack Obama was a citizen, he thought the entire thing was a big funny joke. So again, that doesn't mean that his identity from now on is racist, but it comes from a place of at best case, complete ignorance on this topic and what that belief represents, or even worse, a cynical use of racist beliefs in the electorate to try to get himself elected. So in either case, certainly doesn't look good for him. Now, Rashida Tlaib, representative who brought up this issue at the committee, she was shown one of these clips on a New Day earlier today, and asked if she believes him to be a racist. Tlaib said, "Look, I feel like the act was, and that's up to the American people to decide whether or not he is." And if you're going to do that, please take into account the context that he would like to add, and also the context of what he has contributed to racial discourse in America during his time in elected politics.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from the Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.